I am young, flexible, resilient, and healthy. Young, flexible, resilient, and healthy. You know, when I look at this picture, my favorite picture in the whole wide world, it reminds me that the body is constantly healing all the time, without exception. Every single cell is a factory, and every mitochondria, they can produce more of themselves. So cute, so cute, right? And look how many in this cell there are three. In other cells in other places, there are thousands, you know? Like if you go to the larger organ centers like the brain, that's why we have increased mental health illness right now, is we don't have enough energy in our bodies. Heart, liver, kidneys, major organ centers, more mitochondria, dense powerhouse of the cell. We actually, like, to put muscle on the body requires mitochondria, and they are so beautiful, holding their own DNA, influencing the nuclear genome, right? So it's like the environment that we hold for the cell is a reflection to the mirror. And it's like, okay, well, what's happening outside in the world? What do I need to do? This is the same scenario. If you look out your window and you're like, is it raining or is it sunny outside? You know, do I need to grab my rain jacket? That's the same thing that's happening inside of the cell. It's looking up, is the sugar high? Is the sugar low? You know, is insulin high or is glucagon high? Like, you know, what's the sodium status? Always looking for a reflection and always going towards a state of healing and resiliency. Always. Nothing, you know, they never clock out. That's why I think it's really important to deeply, deeply nourish our bodies with nutrient dense foods. That's what I'm trying to do right now, is deeply nourish my body. That's partly the reason why I started the carnivore diet recently, just trying to nourish without any anti-nutrients, without, you know, life be hard. We go through these periods of darkness and challenge just to remember that we are gonna be okay, that we get disease or have mishaps happen, just to remember that we are capable of this healing and capable of being healthy and energized. It's a beautiful process when you think about it this way. The mitochondria, they can make more of themselves. That's crazy, you know? Like, I mean, that's so insane. And they can also fuse together if some of them aren't working properly. They're basically, it's like, you know, the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, it's kind of like having a dog in your house. You know, every time you see your dog or your cat, you just get so excited. And there's this feeling of unconditional love. And that's the relationship with the mitochondria has, like, when we think about them, when our cells think about, when they hear us thinking about them, consideration, you know, they become happy, you know, because then they are seen. They are seen by us. And, you know, we, all the time we look in the mirror and we just see a body, and we, you know, we forget that we're just trillions and trillions of cells. That's why we forget to eat these nutrient dense foods, because we forget that there's entities inside of us. Like in the gut bacteria alone, I think there's another trillion gut bacteria. But like, that's a lot going on. And, you know, like they have that diarrhea outbreak from that particular gut, from that particular bacteria right now. You know, and also, like, I came across this girl's Instagram. You know, I'm so happy that she's putting herself out there, but she is telling people about her contact use. Actually caused her to go blind. She didn't take her contacts out when she got in the shower, and a bacteria got between the lens in her eye, and it completely clouded her eye, and she's blind in one eye now. And now she tells people Look, don't wear your contacts for extended periods of time. Take them out when you need. Don't wear them in water because it can happen to you. And we just forget that we have all these bacteria in our bodies that are controlling the way that we think, the way that we operate. And like the smallest bacteria could take our whole system down, if it wanted to, if it was strong enough, if it had, they call them like opportunistic bacteria, if it had the opportunity, like she had her contact in and, happened to leave it in, and it was an opportunistic scenario, and you can't plan for it, but you can be aware of certain things. I actually had glasses and contacts for a really long time. I was so sensitive. I think it was just, I was going through my insulin resistant phase, so it's like I struggled with having dry eyes as well. So, I had to get these special contacts because I have astigmatism. One of my eyes is farsighted, one of them's nearsighted, and I had to get these special contacts, and I couldn't wear them past 4 hours. I got this gnarly infection one time. I had just worn them like for the day. I could never wear them asleep. Forget that. Forget wearing them in water. Oh my gosh, they would be glued to my eyes. But, I went to go get the prescription drops. My doctor was like, Rachel, you need to keep these near you in case you ever have this happen, because if this infection were to spread, it could cause blindness. And I remembered him saying that. I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be putting these in my eyes. And so then I started to do eye exercises and go outside in the light. I started to read a lot more because I was like, reading must be good for the eyes. And going outside and looking far-sighted, practicing seeing far, because we also have an myopia epidemic, which is like nearsighted. We've chronic nearsighted. Most people have lost their ability to see far, because like if you don't use that ability, their muscles, we have a lot of muscles in the eyes, and yeah, what you don't use, you kind of lose. So anyway, I stopped wearing my glasses and my contacts, and because I was like, at the end of the day, I was actually born with cataracts, so I was like, this is only helping my vision so much. And yeah, I was like, I don't need to be putting these contacts in my eyes. I want to say Andrew Huberman also did a podcast on how it blocks oxygenation into the eyes, but nothing foreign in the body, and nothing is meant to stay there that isn't properly broken down into those metabolic pathways. So that could be anything. That's why, like, even supplements, it's like you have to be wary of, like, do I even know what's in the supplement? Is it third party tested? Because like, really, if you look at some supplements, like, they're unregulated, they can have anything in them, and so you gotta protect your health, because who else is gonna do it? I have perfect faith in you to do all that you would accomplish. Nothing will be lacking, and you will make complete and not destroy. Say then to you, brother, I give to you the light as part of myself. I know that you will be released unless I want to use you to imprison myself. In the name of my freedom, I choose your release because I recognize that we will be released together. That passage was from A Course in Miracles. It's about forgiveness. I just had it sitting here on my desk. It's about forgiveness, and when we don't forgive the people that hurt us the most in our life, and our parents and everything, we keep ourselves in bondage. And it says, I choose to release because I recognize that we will be released together. And I think that's really beautiful, because like the cell in the mitochondria, life is just a mirror, and we forget that. That's why I say we all have dementia, because we forget that people come into our lives to be reflections of our gut bacteria, of our hormones, things that are unconscious in our psyche, and it shows us where we are already imprisoned, and that's why I like the book. It always says, your brother releases you. People show you exactly what version of you that you need to see, and I think that's so beautiful. Because we're like the single cell, and then meeting other people out in the world, that's like us communicating with the other trillions of cells, you know. Attempt to teach him not. You are the learner. He is the teacher. I have struggled with that one. Sometimes you think you know better than someone else, and we are always missing something in that situation. There's something we cannot see when we think that that other person is wrong, because we have 50% of the part of the relationship. Do not confuse your role with his, for this will never bring peace to anyone. The meaning of love is lost in any relationship that looks to weakness and hopes to find love there. Is this humility or madness? That's funny. Anyway, I really hope that this brings value to you in some way. I was doing a little bit of Google searching the other day before we go. I just saw this sitting there. And I don't know if this is completely 100% accurate. So we might have to use some common sense. We might have to search further for yourself, you know. I was trying to figure out, you know, how many amino acids are in like a 6-ounce or a 12-ounce steak, you know, and how many amino acids are in a handful of blueberries, and how many amino acids are in eggs, because we know animal protein is a full, complete profile of amino acids in the correct quantity that we need them. So if I'm looking for abundance, I'm looking towards animal-based protein, because it has everything we need plus the fatty acids. Now if I'm looking at a blueberry, it has certain specific amino acids, but it's not considered a complete amino acid because it's missing what we need in the highest quantity that we need it in. Not to say that we're not a blueberry hater around here, but you know, I love blueberries. I have a blueberry bush. Actually, my blueberry bush produced like 10 blueberries this year. So I'm not a blueberry hater. I love blueberries. But I was like, there has to be, you know, a difference. So, handful of blueberries, 2 sextillion amino acids. That's a lot. And people get confused about the amino acids and they ask me, and then I'm like, I'm barely understanding myself, but let me try to tell you. Amino acids is like the alphabet. It's like 26 letters to the alphabet. The body uses like 20 standard amino acids, and then 9 of them are essential, meaning that we will die. Things will go awry unless we get enough of these in the proper form. So 20, okay, and the alphabet is 26 letters. And so if I want to spell the word dog, okay, I need D-O-G, okay? So if I want to make a protein, you know, or an enzyme, you say proteins and enzymes, like they're of different lengths. So like I could have 50 amino acid protein, right? And that's a lot of different DOGs, or whatever coordination, you know, that a particular amino acid is sequencing for. I could have 50, or I could have thousands, you know. Like the bigger hormones like insulin, I'm pretty sure is a lot of amino acids. Okay, so 2 sextillion in a handful of blueberries. In an egg, 34 sextillion. So that's a lot more. 2 to 34. And you know, we know eggs are like Mama Nature's multivitamin, choline, A, D, E, and K, healthy fats, healthy protein, complete protein. And then a steak, and I don't know, I don't remember which ounce. I didn't write the ounce, I'm sorry. But it said 270 sextillion. So we went from 34 sextillion to 270 sextillion. So, like I said, I don't know if this is 100% accurate. I was trying to dig and figure it out. What I can tell you from personal experience is that as I've been doing the carnivore diet, I feel so much more satiated with beef than I do eggs. Like sometimes, You know, it's like I can get full on eggs, but I don't always feel like satiated. And so that's why I really love the beef. It is so dense, it's so clean. You know, when people ask me about what do I think about fish, our waters are pretty dirty. Lots of metals, lots of plastics. When I think about a cow in a pasture, it just feels, it looks, it's getting beaten down by the sun, it's eating grass, you know, depending on where you get it from. It's a lot cleaner. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I do hope that you have the sweetest dreams. And of course, before we depart, protein is so important for the dream state. These amino and fatty acids, they are repairing our nervous system. They are repairing the tissues at the cellular level by helping the mitochondria do their work. All the B vitamins, all the magnesium, all the zinc, you know, what plants are devoid in is those B vitamins, and those B vitamins are very important for the complexes within the mitochondria. So important. And all of these things are designed, like tryptophan breaks down to serotonin, breaks down to melatonin. Mitochondria produce melatonin in order to protect themselves and to protect their DNA. Mitochondria produce the most melatonin for in the sun, like just the running of them, allowing the electron transport chain to flow through, produces intracellular melatonin. That's so beautiful because melatonin is the molecule of darkness. It's the healing molecule. So it's really important for dreams, all this protein and all these fats. In the dream state, we switch from deep sleep to REM sleep, and that's a function of the nervous system. It's a function of libido, the autonomic nervous system, memory and consolidation, dreams. It's so important. So, if you do have poor sleep, if you'd like to improve your sleep, it's worth looking into the amino acid tryptophan. Tryptophan breaks down the melatonin, and that's the circadian rhythm cycle. It's a driver of that, and it's so beautiful. It's like so beautiful. So anyway, I'll leave this here, but I love you so much. I hope this was valuable to you. I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you later.